Once again, we are in the Blending Modes test lab out of your exercise files. We've got one more lesson to go. Actually, we've got two sets of blending modes. They are under here, but they're smaller sets, and I think we can get through these in this one lesson. The first set here are called inverts, and the second set are called tonals. Now remember the name of the game here. We're taking this image and using this type of image to blend into it with the blending mode. We're going to see the results right up here. So I'm going to go into Blend Group. Let's start with the first one, and it's called Difference. So what is that? Difference looks at the color information in each one of these layers and subtracts either the blend color from the base or the base from the blend color, depending on which one has the greater brightness value. I kind of look at it almost like a negative thing. If I click Difference, though, watch that first one on the right. It cancels itself out. It goes into this, like what I call an opposite mode, and it cancels out. And that's exactly what you're going to see if two images are on top of each other. But on this one, in this one, we almost get a negative value to them. That's difference. The next one is exclusion. Now that creates an effect similar to, but kind of lower in contrast than difference mode, but the same idea. Now you'll start seeing things in that last one on the right, because it's not exactly a perfect difference between the two. We're still getting that kind of what I would call a negative look over here. The next one over here is subtract. Now what does it do? It looks at the color information in each one of our layers, and then it actually does this. It subtracts the blend color from the base color. So this is kind of like color theory and mixing and blending colors. And if we click subtract, we're going to get somewhat the same idea on that one on the right. But you'll notice how the color tones flare themselves out here based on the cyan, and how this one seems to be blown out quite a bit, even though we're going from dark to light. That's called subtract. The next one, last in this set, is called divide. Now divide looks at the color information in each one of our layers and divides the blend color from the base color. So when you think about this, when you really start getting into blending modes, it's a lot about color theory, but it's also about math. Let's click divide and see what happens. Kind of an interesting, very polarizing result on those. That's divide. Now the next set, kind of interesting too, are called tonals. Hue, saturation, color, and luminosity. Let's go ahead and look at hue, but remember what we have basically in a color. We have hue, saturation, and brightness, or sometimes is called luminosity. So what hue does, it creates a result color with the luminance and saturation of the base, but maintains the hue of the blend color. Go ahead and click that. And you can see in this one, you're not getting anything. But see how the color is being replaced based on the blend color. This is shades of gray, so it's changing it over here too. The next one, saturation creates a result color with the luminance and hue of the base and the saturation of the blend color. See how this is starting to work out here? If we take that one, the only one that appreciably changed was the one in the middle that had that really middle cyan color. The other two stayed pretty much where they were because one's in grays and the other one is exactly the same image. The next one is called color. In color, it creates a result color with the luminance of the base and the hue and saturation of the blend. So we're kind of playing a game with these three things. Go ahead and click color. And again, because the other ones are in gray and it's an exact image on the right, the only one that's really changing much here is the one in the middle. The last one is luminosity. Luminosity creates a result color with the hue and saturation of the base and the luminance of the blend color. And in this case, the one that's exactly the same didn't change. But the ones that we have a blend of a solid cyan in shades of gray changed quite a bit and began overriding the colors in the original. Now let's get practical again or have some fun. Go into Apply. Now you should see two images in there called Doggy and Window. Go ahead and open up Window and then put the doggy in the window. How much is that doggy in the window? Let's go ahead and select Doggy. Now what I'm doing here is attempting to take a two-dimensional space and put cues to your brain that are three-dimensional. For example, I erased with a layer mask the area of the dog where he interacts with the wood, and that's a good thing. So my mind says, must be behind that window because I can't see him there. I see the wood. But when your mind kind of looks at that dog, it says, he looks too good to be behind the glass. So we got two things going on here. Blending modes would be excellent here. Let's try one or two. We could try multiply. Computer, I want you to multiply the dog into the window. Now that will work in terms of multiply, but the overall effect is so intense, it makes him look semi-transparent. So we've got, ghost dog. We could try a lot of these, but the one we want and the one that works based on what we're doing, and you might have to change that if you're dealing with other images with other colors, is luminosity. Now remember what that does. It creates a resulting color with the hue and saturation of the base, but the luminance, that's the strength of the dog in the blend. And if I click that button, I start bringing in some of the color reflecting off the window, and the dog remains solid. Blending modes are amazing, but in the next lesson, we're going to take a little peek at how we use them actually with something called a brush. On to the next.